everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little Valentine's Day wall planter. Alright, so first I'd like to say that most of my supplies are from the Dollar Tree, but you can find supplies anywhere else, such as Walmart or your favorite craft stores. Now, I found these signs at the Dollar Tree. This is a little canvas sign, as you can see the back of it. I picked these two because they're about the same width. This is just a little bit wider than my sign here that hangs on the wall, but it is perfectly fine. Now, let me give you some examples. This is a leftover little sign that I had from Thanksgiving. I'm picking these type of items that have like some space inside of them where I can place styrofoam and place flowers, sort of like using it as a container. Here's a different one that I also have from Thanksgiving. There are some Valentine ones there right now that have a message, but really all of this, the messages on them don't really matter at all. What you're looking for, something that has a little bit of a container, and you will want to match it up more or less the width of your sign. So maybe look for a sign that's long that can go behind it, like, you know, this particular size. Okay, I hope you understood that. So you can use anything like this that you may already have left over, or if you want to find something new. This is not going to matter to me because I am going to be using a leftover piece of burlap. You can use any fabric, or you could just paint over it if you do not like, you know, whatever color it is. Actually, the color that's on here is not so bad. I don't mind the hooray on the bottom. It might not even show on my wall, but I want to give it a little more special detail, give it a more of a farmhouse look, so that's why I'm using some burlap. So you just need a little scrap of that. I've got some ribbon, so you can get your ribbon from the Dollar Tree as well. I've had this from a store called At Home. It was a great purchase, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of that. It's actually a Christmas ribbon, but as you can see, it would work really well for Valentine's, and it's got all the colors that I need here. I got these also from the Dollar Tree, some roses. I got red roses, and then I got these like buds, rose buds, and it's sort of an ivory color because it all coordinates just fine. And then I got these smaller little filler flowers. It says a German status, and I think they're really pretty, and it just gives it a little bit more light. Now, another item that I don't have here, I'm going to pull out some greenery that I already have. Just a few little leaves here and there just to fill in, just to make sure that my arrangement looks pretty. I do have some styrofoam. You can use any scraps that you may already have. I've got a little bit of green moss. You can use Spanish moss, whatever you like. I also have these little picks with little hearts. I thought I'd put maybe a couple of these in my little arrangement. Okay, so to put all this together, I'm going to be using my hot glue gun. So obviously I need, you know, the glue sticks. I'm going to use scissors, wire cutters, and here I just have a little scrap of a chenille stem where you can use floral wire to tie up my ribbon, and then a little floral pick. It's just a little stick. You don't really need that, but just so that you see how I use that when I do the bow. Okay, let's get to crafting. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and I prepared everything. So that's the first thing you want to do, is you want to cut off all of the individual stems from the bush so that you have them all cut up like this and ready to go. I've already done this with all of these, so now they're all individual stems. I removed any tags. I'm going to go ahead and leave this little rope on here. I think it works just fine with the decor that I already have on here. So I'm going to leave that on there. You could replace it with another ribbon if you want to do that. I've got my greenery ready here. And anything else, I've opened up the packaging. Okay, so I've got my scrap of burlap here. And what I want to do is I just want to make sure, see how this comes over and it just stapled here on the edge? I want to make sure it just comes over. And I could just easily just staple it all up and cut it and do all the little folds just like this is. But I'm going to go ahead and use my glue gun. So I just want to make sure, I'm going to take it over to the corner here and just make sure that it's enough to fold over like that, and then over here to fold over just enough. I'm going to move it a little bit. There we go. I think that is perfectly fine. So I'm going to do these sides first, and then once I bring this one up where I need it, and then I'll cut it, and then of course on this side I'll cut that too. So I'm just going to do it like if I'm wrapping up a gift, but obviously I'm using my glue gun. And I'm going to use my glue gun little spots at a time rather than making a long drip of glue, because burlap's kind of tricky. and it moves around. It's very, very, you know, kind of knotty. And it doesn't stick right away because it has all these little holes. So a lot of the glue tends to go through, and then the little threads just come right off. So that's a reason why I'm doing this a little bit at a time. And also because I do have my little fan on, my glue could dry faster, you know, before I get to the end. So just do a little segment at a time. Okay, now that I've glued this side, I'm going to do this other side, but I want to make sure this is glued down correctly because look, right here, it wants to kind of do a little curving on me. So I'm just going to pull it a little bit. And just pull it. If you were using another fabric, you would do the same thing, just like if you're wrapping a present. You want it to be nice and smooth. So now what I'm going to do is I'm turning it over to its side so I keep it where I need it. So I'm just going to put, again, a little bit of glue. Pull it up. Okay, so here I am just trimming it, the excess. You could fold it, you know, all the way in if you wanted to. I'm not going to worry about it because I am going to put some green moss in there, so that'll cover that. Probably going to do a little folding like that and then bring this over and do that. But before I do, I'm going to add a little bit of glue down the sides just to make sure that that's folded up like that. I want the little edges there to glue up really nice. And see, now I have this. Let's put some more glue in my gun. And also the thing about this is when you're doing this, you do get glue that comes through, like I said, through the burlap, and then you get it all over your fingers. So just be careful because the glue is hot. And if you can't touch it, use a little tool, such as your scissors, to push down like that. And then I'm going to put some glue in there to hold this down. The only reason that I'm doing that is because burlap is kind of thick, and just so that it looks a little nice, I'm adding glue to push that in. And then I can bring this one here, put some glue on the edges here, bring it up, and then glue here and fold that down, and that'll be a nice finished edge. Okay, that is what that little corner looks like. Okay, so just go ahead and do the other end, and if you don't want to do it like I did, you can repeat a different way. So let me just cut this more or less. Okay, this is done. It has been wrapped. It looks really pretty. Look at that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to take, let's put some styrofoam inside of it first. Let me take one of these little circles. And I'm just going to use one, and I should have said that we also need like a craft knife. You could use your scissors, but I always find that craft knives is really a really nice thing to use. And this is just a regular, like a little steak knife that I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm just calling it a craft knife, but you know, it's just a little steak knife. Of course, I use it with my craft, so I'm going to cut this up and just go halfway down because it has two spots here, and they fit perfectly fine in there. Look at that. So you'll just trim it to fit inside of your little space. You don't have to get every single corner. Don't worry about that. We're going to put some glue in there. Careful, turning it around. There we go. And just some styrofoam right in there. And then you can take some of this green moss and put it in there. You could put that in there, just lightly cover so that you don't cover too much, so that when you stick your stems in there, they don't have to be fighting to get through the moss. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the moss in afterwards, okay? So what I want to do now is I want to glue this to this. And I'm going to glue it like so, right on the edge. Just a little bit of the edge, okay? Just enough to where it's glued down. But I don't want to cover any of this, okay? I like my sign. Okay, so I'm going to put glue. Actually, I should have glued the fabric down. This side is a little tighter, so I'm actually going to glue it. I wanted this for the front, but this one is actually pulled down a little bit nicer than this one, this side. I left it, it's a little puffy. I didn't pull it like really tight, so I'm going to use this side. So just on the side that you know is going to get glued down to a board, put lots of glue on the edge to glue down the fabric. so it's not, you know, loosey-goosey like mine. I think my sign is actually wider than, or my little, I'm going to call this my container, is actually wider than my sign. So I'm going to put the glue on the sign rather than on my container, because I might go a little bit too far and then I don't need glue all the way to the ends. So whichever is more narrow, the glue on that, and put lots of it, because, you know, it does tend to dry, but the thicker it is, the longer it'll take. So that'll give you enough time to do your planning of where you want things to go. And I'm just going to try and center it as best as I can. And push down so that the glue will penetrate through the burlap and onto my little sign. Let's turn this around so you can see it's not at the very edge of it, it's just barely. But that way you can see, you know, if it's even. Okay, so that's what I want. See? Now this can be standing or it could be hanging off the wall. That's why I left this little string. And this is lightweight enough where it can. So I'm just testing it here right now to make sure that it's not flopping around. If it is, add some more glue. So what I'm going to do just to make sure is I'm going to add more glue right here on this little edge. And we're going to let that dry really well. You could use some E6000 or your super glue if you feel better, you know, and it's all, you know, put together very nicely. Use that. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around. And I'm going to put some glue over here too, just to make sure. Just to make sure it does penetrate into the box. I'm pushing the glue in there. That's done. We're going to let that dry just a couple of minutes. Okay? Let that dry and we'll be back. Alright, so I want to start with a bow right here on the corner of my arrangement, rather than it being in the middle or, you know, somewhere else. I went right here on the corner right here. So I'm just going to make a small bow, and really I could have used maybe less of width here, maybe 1.5 inches rather than 2.5 inches here of ribbon, or a 7/8 inch would be nice too. Okay, so I'm just going to have like a little bit of a tail hanging off, and I am going to pinch it and twist, and always have the nice side of the ribbon up like that, because this does have two, you know, the right side and then the wrong side. If it was two-sided, then it wouldn't really matter, but it does have just one side. So I want to make sure that's always on the outer. And then pinch it, depending on how big I want my loop. I don't want it that big. I'm just going to go a little bit smaller. I do have videos on how to do handmade bows if you want a little more detail. So I just twist it to make sure the pretty side is up. Don't worry about the tail. And then make another loop. Measure them side by side. Open them back up. If they're fine, pinch, twist. Okay, so I'm going to make about 4 loops. That's all I need for my little bow. Okay, and then the other little tail will be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to use this chenille stem to wrap around, and then I'm going to twist the ribbon so it tightens towards, you know, the ribbon, rather than just twisting this little tail. And then the little loop around the ribbon is loose, and then it all comes apart. Okay, so if I had a really deep arrangement, excuse me, I would take a floral pick such as this, or a little stick, or if you have a leftover piece of a stem, you could use that. Or let's say you have a pick like this, then you could just tie it on the pick and then insert it. Okay, but we're going to use this floral pick, and we can just wrap this around the chenille stem or wire, depending on what you use, around the top edge. Some of these sticks already come with wire, but I find that that little wire is kind of very, like, really very thin. It's very like a high gauge wire, so it kind of like tears up or breaks off very easily. So I just like to get the ones that don't have that. If they do, I usually take that wire off. So anyway, once you have it like that, you can put a little bit of hot glue on there, and the bow won't move, the wire won't move, and then you can stick it into your styrofoam. But obviously this is too much, just too high. I don't need that long of a stem because I have a very shallow container here and the styrofoam in there. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. So what I can do is I can just trim this So it's enough of a stick to go into my styrofoam, which I don't need very much. But it would be a lot easier to stick this in there than it would be just stick the chenille stem into there. But you could try it either way. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on it. Put it right in the corner like I said I would. And this is a reason why I said to make sure you glue down your styrofoam really well. Because once you stick something like this, I mean, it could just pull it right off. Okay, so I want to twist it because I want the shorter tail on this side and the longer one on this side. And then I'm going to do little dovetails on my ends. You could do whatever you like. Straight cut or angle or little dovetails. Okay, in this case I'm going to poof it up because this will tell me that I really don't need to put any flowers in this little corner because my bow is already taking up that space. So see where the bow is right there? And once I get it all, hanging, I can fix the ribbon and hang it, however I like. I think I like this little short tail kind of coming up a little bit. That'll also hide some stems, so less greenery that will be needed, or less flowers will be needed. Okay, I'm just cutting off some little threads that are on my bow here. There we go, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so like I said, if it was a thinner ribbon, I think it would be better for this particular container because it would be a smaller bow. It wouldn't be so big. But another thing I can do is I can just pinch in the center of my loops and push in, like grab the center right here is the wire. The wire. But instead of pinching it outwards like that, you're going to push it in and then pinch it so it stays in there. So now it looks like a multi-loop bow, and you've got some like little less of a bulk. You see that? Look at the side of the bow. Okay, that's all of my making bow tutorials. Okay, so now I'm going to take what I'm calling my focal flowers, which are these red roses. These are going to be my main flowers. I've already kind of was looking at one of them. So I already folded it on the top here because I want it facing forward. I don't want it facing upward, and then you're going to see this ugly part on it. I want it face it forward. It's not ugly, but it's not all that attractive either. I can push some of the leaves down a little bit. Okay, so once I've got it, and I've decided that this height is perfectly fine, and then of course, I'm going to lose about that much because it's going to get pushed into the styrofoam. So I'm actually, comparing it like that, and it's going to come up this high, and I like that. So this arrangement is not going to be like a, centered here, and then everything on this side will repeat what's over here. I'm going to be like doing an asymmetrical design here. So I'm going to take another one. This one I'm going to put it over here, and because I have this, ribbon hanging over here, I need something that kind of counterbalances that. So I'm going to use this flower right here, and I'm going to fold it down and then up. So there we go. It's folded downward like that, and then the flower part got bent up a little bit like that. Okay, so then we're going to put glue on that little tip. And stick it right in. Like so, okay? I know that looks weird right now, but we're going to put other flowers and I'll cover that. There we go. And actually, it doesn't have to be bent. I'm going to bend it a little bit further down over here. There we go. Like that. Okay, so now I want another flower right about here, about this height, because see how it has this beautiful picture on here? You guys, it says love each moment. I like that very much. I couldn't remember what it said, so I had to look at it. So I don't want to cover everything. So all my other flowers are going to be like really low down here. But I'm going to have one just a little bit tall right here because there's like a empty space right here. So I'm going to take another one of these focal flowers, and I'm just going to cut some of the stem to make it a little bit shorter than the one over here. Again, you want to fold it facing forward. A little bit of glue, and then put it back here against the sign, sort of kind of create some balance right there. And then I've got these other two flowers that I'm going to center, one about this height right here and then down lower here. So I'm going to cut it even more because, like I said, I don't want it to be that high. I don't want to cover any of the wording. And let's see, if I put it here, would that hide anything? Nope, I can still see the wording. And then one down here. And I'm going to cut that one even shorter. Bend it a little bit. And put that right there. And I can just bend this one a little bit that way so it's not too close to this one. There we go. This is what we want to create. We want to create a flow going this way now. From up here, down, and then just a little bit up, and then across. Hanging, overhanging, just like this tail is. Take a look at that so you get an idea. Remember that. Okay, so now we're going to fill it in with a contrasting flower. And this is what are these called? I said this at the beginning. Oh, rosebuds. There we go. I'm going to cut them short as well. And then just a little bit. And these are going to fill in those spots where in between the other flowers. So right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go filling in between them. Not necessarily right next to them, but maybe a little bit further back. As a matter of fact, I think this one's a little too short right here. I'm going to move it to the middle. Right here. Push it in. I'm going to cut it a little bit taller too. Be right next to this other flower. Let's see if that works a little. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay? You can still see the sign behind. I'm trying to look at see which ones look nicest. Whenever you have a flower that has like a petal kind of sticking out like that and it doesn't want to stay up, put a little dab of glue there and then push it up. It'll stick to the other petals up here and it won't come down anymore. There we go, a little glue. I'm pushing the little leaves because I do want the leaves. Cutting it pretty short because all I'm doing now is filling in between the other flowers without covering the sign in the back. And then I want kind of a long one that will go be like right between these two. I don't know if you understood my the way I worded that, go between, I don't know what I said. Okay, let me fix these petals with some glue because it's got some, this one is kind of glued to itself, so I'm just gonna cut that one out. No, there it is. Okay, it's alright. Let's go ahead and put some glue and fix it. Sometimes there's really nothing wrong with the petal. It's just that they're like, they got folded in a weird way, or these little things are kind of like, you know, kind of in behind them rather than in front of them. So just push the petals behind that and that'll fix it. That one is going to go right here. Okay, and I still have some left over. I don't have to use every one of my flowers. I kind of like the idea of maybe one of these sticking up this on this side. So I'm going to keep the length that it has. I don't like the leaves, are a little too crunched up. Just going to fix these. Okay. Let's see, that looks good. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. I'm going to look at it from the front. I think I like that. Okay. So, that's what we got so far. So now what I want to do is I want to take these other little flowers, and these are what I'm calling the filler flowers, because all this fills in. Your greenery also becomes a filler. So I'm just going to take little bits off of the greenery and a few of these, and then I'm just going to tuck them in here and there. Basically to cover where we see maybe too much styrofoam, and of course we had to have the green moss so we can tuck in also to cover that styrofoam. So let me get to doing that. I think that's enough. And again, I had one of those left over. I had a couple of rosebuds. I can use this for a little corsage or something. Okay, so now we want to put some greenery in there and fill it in. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . To kind of, I'm going to wrap it around a little bit around this stem here, so that covers that stem. Like, if, you know, I'm just going to wrap it around like that. See, just wrapped around that stem so it covers it now, and that's got some leaves, and I think that is enough. I don't think it needs any more. And I did want to put one of these little heart picks on there, so I'm just going to stick this one back here. I do have another one. I think I pulled out 2 of them. It looks so pretty right there. Now, I'm also going to put some greenery now that I look at it to cover the stick of that on that. This one I'm going to cut a little bit shorter. Let's put some glue. I'm going to stick it over here because I feel like I needed something right there. Look at that little heart tucked in there. And see this one right here, how it's got the stick and you can see it. I'm going to put a little bit of greenery there. Just going to wrap it around that as well to cover that. Yeah, that'll be good. And making sure it goes into the styrofoam. And then kind of wrap it around a little bit on this little stick with a little heart. So that covers that up. And then we're going to bring up this little tail. And let me look at my bow. I think I'm going to open up the loops after all, rather than pinching them down, because I feel like it'll fill it in a little bit better here. And it covers up the stem from this rosebud on the end. I'm going to pull it more inward. There we go. Look at that, you guys. Okay. Alright everyone, I have completed my Valentine's Day wall planter. I think it looks really cute. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up and leave a nice comment down below. Let me know what you think of my arrangement. Will you be recreating it? Maybe changing it up for a different season? Also, thank you very much for letting me take up your time with my tutorial. And I want to thank everyone who's been subscribing. So thank you very much. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also the little notification bell to let you know of when I put up videos, which is every Tuesday and every Friday. Also, make sure you share on your social medias, and as always, enjoy.